So you've got a new titanium panel in your room and you don't know where to start. Well, let me give you a quick runaround of what the panel has and what it's capable of. First things first, when you walk into the room, you'll notice that there's a white light on and a red light. The panel has two sensors, one here and one over here. They're little like bumps. Those sensors notice your movement as soon as you come in your room in the morning. So the board automatically starts to turn on. So no more waiting 20 minutes until your board is on. The other thing that's really cool about this board is that if it's really up high on your wall, you can easily move it down. It's adjustable and it'll stay. So if you're teaching kindergartners, you can move it all the way down to here so the kids can access it. If you want it to be higher so people can see around you or around your students, you can move it up. So let's start. To get it turned on, you're going to click on this right here, the unified menu flame. When you click on it, you should see something like this. This is your screensaver. There are a few tools that come with your board. First of all, you'll have pens, which are just styluses, and an eraser. The eraser is great because it's magnetic, and you can stick it to the side of your board. If you're not using it, then you won't lose it. The pens can be set right in the pen tray on the front. You will also see you have a remote. Some of the remotes are different than this, but you have most of the same features. There is a power button at the top, which just turns it off. Again, you'll see the flame is still white. It's still ready to turn on at any time. Click it back on, it'll go right back on. You also have the flame in the middle, which opens your unified menu, and that's going to be your control panel. Just to note, the unified menu is able to be opened from any side. So if I'm standing over here, I can click on this arrow here and open the unified menu from this side. I can also click on this arrow here and open it from that side. And as always, you can open it from the bottom. So there's many ways to open that unified menu, from your remote, from touching these three arrows, or just by clicking the flame. Next, you'll have a box with an X through it. If you click on that, it just turns it to sleep. It just closes it. If you were to turn it off, it's going to go back to that main page every time, even if you're on your computer. But if you're on your computer and you're mirroring what's on your desktop, you may want to just use the box with the X, and it'll just close this off for now. Another one, if you're using your desktop or something on here, but you don't want the kids to see what you're doing, you can click on the little snowflake. There's also the snowflake here. That freezes the board. Whatever's up there will freeze. All right? Finally, this box right here, it's a square with an arrow, and you'll see it down here on the bottom as well. That's your source. So when you click on it, you'll see I only have a home. You'll have HDMI 1, which will be your desktop. So if you click on HDMI 1, it's going to bring up what you see on your desktop. Finally, you'll probably have something with volume. When I click that, I can turn the volume up and down. These boards have a built-in speaker that's very loud, and a lot of them have a sound bar on the top as well. So if you have any questions about the volume, you can use that, but the volume on these boards are pretty great. All right. Let's talk about the center console, right? Right here. Now, it goes along with the remote very well. You have your volume up and down. You have your flame to open the unified menu. You have the snowflake. The snowflake is what I showed you on the remote, which freezes the panel. There's this, it looks like a finger with a circle around it. That turns off touch. So when I have that on, this won't always be there. So if your touch isn't working, you might want to check to make sure that's not touched, okay? And finally, you have your source. That is the center console, all right? I'm going to put my remote right here. Next on the front, you have some other things you'll see. There are two USB ports, an HDMI, and a touch. So if you were to plug in another device that you wanted to be able to use for touch, or you wanted to plug in your dock cam, you could do that right on the front. Let's get into the unified menu. There's lots of different tools that the board has that you can use without even using your desktop computer. So to get to the unified menu, you can click on the flame or click on any of the arrows going up. To start, let's look at the locker. The locker is like your file cabinet on your board. You'll see a lot of different apps, and at the bottom there's 3 dots. So that means you can move between the pages. Okay? So we have in here my whiteboard, Annotate, my phone is right. In your locker, the first thing you'll see is apps. There are 3 pages of mine. You can see the little dots here. Okay? Underneath, you'll see the little settings cog here. If I click on that, I go to settings. You can adjust the volume, the brightness of your screen, the contrast of your screen. You can turn on palm mode, turn off palm mode. You can have 2 pens at once. You can make things larger. It's a little bit bigger. And when you turn on large mode, you'll see that the unified menu looks a little bit bigger, right? So to get back to that, locker, settings, normal mode. There we go, it's a little bit smaller. And then you also have more settings. More settings is more for the tech department and what we need to use it for, so you don't have to worry about that. To exit out of any of the apps or anything on the board, instead of it being in the top right with the X, the box that makes it big, and then the 2 flat lines, you'll see it's on the bottom right. So I'm just going to click on that X there to exit it out. There you go. So that's the locker. You have the home button, which takes you back here. Next is the digital whiteboard. I'll talk about that in more detail in a minute. You have the capture. The annotate lets you write over anything that the board has open. So like right now, if I wanted to write on it, I could. Hey, I can grab this, move it over. I can draw little smiley faces. And I can do this on anything on the board. So even if I had my desktop up here, I'd be able to write on it. As soon as I exit this out though, it goes away. And it doesn't follow along with, like, if I have a paper and I'm scrolling up and down, it won't follow along with it. But that is nice, the annotation. You have a screen share or source, which lets you flip between the computers. Screen share, recent apps, so you can see what you have open, and the help. I just want to show you really quick, if I go too fast for you in this little tutorial and you needed help again, you'd open the unified menu, click on help, and Promethean does give you a tour, short tour. It shows you how to navigate through. It shows you what each of these buttons mean on the front. Next. It goes into the different connections on the front, and it even shows you the connections on the back, because there are connections on the back on the side here if you were interested in that. It goes over the unified menu, what each thing means. The locker, it shows you what's in the locker. And finally, if you need help again, you can always click on the help button and it'll show you where to go. I'm going to hit done, and then I'm going to exit it out. So that was a quick overview. If you have any questions, please let me know. Now that you had a quick overview of the board, let's talk in detail about some things that it's capable of. This board is not connected to my desktop computer at all. So I wanted to show you how it works without the computer. If I wanted to connect it to the computer, I could go into source and choose HDMI if it was plugged in, but it's not plugged in. So instead, I do have some other options. If I want to start, I'm going to look at just the apps that it has. Apps are all housed in the locker. To get to the locker, you open the unified menu. Remember, to do that, you can click anywhere on the board with the little arrow coming out. So I'm going to choose here and click locker. Looking more closely at the clock and the timer and the stopwatch, remember, you can click the flame or access your unified menu from anywhere on the board on the 3 sides. Click on locker and choose timer. From there, I'm going to make it one full screen, just so you can see the options. I can edit the name of the timer up here, change the name. Right here is the clock. That's what this is. And I can change what I have for a timer there. But let's look in settings. Start settings. I have the different styles. I have digital, analog, 24 hours, and seconds. So I can change it to digital, change it back to analog, turn it on 24-hour clock, and I can turn the seconds off and on. When I click on the name clock, I can then change it to a timer. Now you'll see that the time up here had stayed the same. So I would have to change that if I want to change it to a different thing. I click on the time here, hit play for it to go. You'll notice that the red bar goes around, showing me a visual of the time that's elapsed. I can pause it. I can start over. You can always add more timers, clocks, stopwatches by hitting the plus button. Again, I got it to full screen by clicking those two arrows pointing outward. So if I wanted to make it small again, I could click on the two arrows pointing inward, and that would just make it the standalone clock. The clock will work over anything that's on the board. So even if you're mirroring your desktop onto the board, you can make it into this and just drag it around, which you may like, and that's okay. So if I want to go back to full screen, let's say I want to add another one. Here we go. So for this one, I have a timer. For this one, I have a stopwatch. In the stopwatch settings, you'll see I can turn on and off milliseconds. I'm going to add another. So I have a timer, a stopwatch, another timer. I want to make this the clock. And finally, I do one more. There you go. You can have up to 4 at once. I can click here to make them all separate. Here they are. Drag them around so they're not in the way. There you go. I can't add any more. You can only have 4 at once. Sorry. So when you're done with those, you can hit the X to exit out of them. And there you go for the timer. Another cool feature in the locker app that we have is the spinner. When you have the spinner open, I like to make full screen. Just like with the clock, you can only have 4 of them at once. But with the spinner, you could spin just like you would a regular spinner. You see this is giving me colors, and I can change that. If I click where it says colors, I can add plenty of my own things. I can have new, colors, alphabet, names, numbers 1 through 10, vowels, and consonants. To edit any of the pre-made ones, all you need to do is click on the pencil. And from there, you can click on it, and I can change the name, right? So if I wanted to add my own, click here, create new. I can add a title by clicking up here and typing it in on the board. If you have an external keyboard, that's really helpful. You can plug it in and just type it right in. Cancel. If I want to add another one, I can. Just be aware that you can, again, only add 4, just like the clock. And with this, you can only spin 1 at a time. So spin, you'll notice the other ones get dull. I can't spin those while this one's going. Now I can spin this one. There you go. Let me get rid of these 2 just so we can see it a little better. 3. All right. Other options. You can choose to select items only once and turn the sound off and on. So if the sound is distracting for some students, you may want to turn it off. Finally, if you want to make it not full screen and have it run over something that you have on your desktop, let's say you're running a program or something and you just want a spinner up there, there you go. If you create a spinner with the students' names in your class, it'll stay on your board. It won't erase every time. So you are able to reuse it each time. So once you do that front loading, you're all set. So those are both in the unified menu in the locker. Another cool thing in the locker is the Chromium, and that is basically going on the internet. So you don't need to have your desktop attached. You can go on the internet without, right? But you do have to go up here and then type in what you're looking for. So I wanted to go to maps.google. Oh, hold on, there's a .com. There I go. And then I'm going to hit the arrow to go to the side, and it would bring it up. And it's small, whatever. But I can make it full size by doing this, stay on web. So here we are. I wanted to have a video of Homer. There's a nice picture of Homer, New York, right, on my Google Maps. There we go. So I can bring up the internet and do that. The only thing is that unless you have an external keyboard, which I have one that I could plug in and then type in, you could do that. Again, without your computer being attached. You could log into Google and access your Google Drive and all that on the board, and that would work too. It's just like using a Chrome web browser. So, go back to my locker. So that's your Chromium. There are also activities you can use, and that's through ActivInspire. So if you use ActivInspire or ClassFlow, that's something you might want to look into. The only other thing I'm going to show you at this point, well, three things, I guess. While I'm on this right here, on my map, I do want to show you there is that Annotate tool. So no matter what I'm on, if I'm on my computer, if I'm on Chromium, whatever, I could just click on Annotate here, and it'll bring up this little cool toolbar. I can click on green, here's Homer Center for the Arts. I'm going to click on red. Here's Clinton Street, the middle school is right here. Homer Senior High School, this is where I am right now, here. So I can do all of that. When I click on the erase, I can erase parts of it, right? If I click on this, it's going to erase them all. Here's Route 90. Oh, sorry. There's yellow because I'm highlighting, green. You've got your eyeball that makes it all disappear and then comes back. So if you don't want to erase it, but you want to hide your annotations, you click your eyeball, right? There's the back button, all of that great stuff. You can also use the eraser. And you don't even have to click on anything, right? It's smart enough to know the eraser versus my finger or the pen. There's the pen as well. Again, it knows the eraser, so I don't have to switch in between the erasers now, all right? Now, if I have something all over and I exit this out, it automatically goes away. It doesn't come back, even if I bring up annotation again. All right, I'll show you, see? It doesn't come back. So that's a limitation of the annotation. It also, if I do this, and then I try to move the map, it won't work, right? So I have to close out the annotations for it to then move the map. All right? Now there is also the whiteboard in here, but I'm going to show you that from the unified menu. But again, this is the locker. In the locker we have, you have your timer, your spinner, and your Chromium. All right? So those are three great things you can use without even having your desktop attached. Let's talk about more on the unified menu. The next thing going along the lines is the whiteboard. Now, the digital whiteboard is a great tool so that you don't have to use your, get a little closer here, so you don't have to use your desktop. If you lost a whiteboard or a chalkboard because this is up, this is also a great feature for you. So just like with annotation, you can use your finger or you can use the pen to write. Going right down the side, the whiteboard, you click on the three dots. You can see that you can move the toolbar position. So if you don't want it over here, I could move it to the other side. I'll move back here because this is where I'm standing. You can export, you can save things to the board, so you can go back and open it in the board. You can export it as a screenshot or as a canvas. This board has an infinite canvas, and I'll show you what that means. The screenshot is just what you see. Infinite canvas means everything out there, okay? So there's the save. You have this right here, which splits it into two different boards. So I could have two different students working on the board at the same time, okay? When I hit it again, it goes away, or the line goes away, but my writing still stays. A cool thing about that is if I put 2 math problems on the board on each side, and then I click on those 2 people, it splits it down the middle. The students cannot erase. See? The only thing they can do is write on it. They can't erase my work. When they hit the erase the whole board, you'll see nothing happens over there. So if I have a student who's doing their work on this side, and they're doing such a nice job, but then I have a student over here who's trolling, they can click the erase the whole board, but it won't erase the other side. It only erases their side of the board. So if they're trying to mess with somebody, there you go. Now, they can write on this, and then they can write on someone else's board, right? So that is a thing. And when they hit the erase, it's going to erase all of their stuff from their side. So that's just something to be aware of. When it comes back, if I try to erase, it would allow me to erase everything, including the black. So that's a cool way to get the kids involved. Another cool feature about the whiteboard is being able to change what the background looks like. This is the white, very bright, right? It's changing when I walk in front of it because you can see the camera is picking it up. So you can see how bright it is. And that might hurt some kids' eyes. You can, remember, in settings, you can change the brightness. But let's say you just want to change the board, what it looks like. If you click on the little hashtag right here, it'll bring up some options. First of all, you can put lines on your board. So here I am with graph paper. If I decide I want to change the color of the graph paper, the lines, I can click on any of these 4 colors here, the lines. There's light blue, which is hard to see on this camera, I know. There's the black, which is a little easier to see. Red or green. You can also change the background of this paper. So let's say you wanted to do the light blue, but you want the background to be black. Any of the circles are the backgrounds. So there, you have a much different contrast for the paper. I have a much different contrast. So if you have students who have issues with eyesight, you may want to use this. And then with a light colored pen, you can write on it, do lines, and that sort of thing. And it may be easier for them to see. Now, just to show you some other lines, I'm going to go back to white paper with no lines. Some other options we have for different lines. I think it's easier to see with the black, but there are musical staffs. There's just line paper, and erase that. If I have my arrow on, I can make it skinnier or bigger, right? Same with my musical staff. If I wanted more staffs, I can do that. Or I can make it bigger if I'm teaching smaller kids and I want to show them the notes, okay? So just be aware of that. You can change the size of the paper. You can also have boxes like this if you're doing fractions, you're doing graphing, any of that sort of cool stuff. We have the line paper for teaching students their alphabet and how to write. If they wanted to write some words using the dotted lines. I don't know how good I'm doing there, elementary teachers. I'm sure you'll let me know. And finally, they have the house. Oh, I didn't mess that up, but I have my house and my basement. So here's the house, here's the attic, here's the basement. If you're still teaching students how to use the house and the basement, right? So that is there. Remember, you can always click on the 3 dots at the top and change the toolbar position so that your houses are still here and nicely being able to be seen. And I can even draw over them just so the kids can see and make it really stand out. Although, obviously, I can't even trace things because it's not even that good. Even these, you can change the background of the board. Woo! That really messed with my camera. Apparently we don't like that. Okay, let's try this one. this is a really good reminder that, a lot of times students don't like the board the way if we have it in a crazy color. The next feature is images. Promethean provides you with a ton of pre-made graphic organizers. So we have analog clock faces, we have fractions, mind maps, a periodic table. Let me just bring up a coordinate plane real quick. So I have this coordinate plane, right? And it's over the background. I'm going to get rid of my lines, just have a plain background. There I go. Now the cool thing about this is it's an image. But if I'm to write on this, so let's say I'm going to mark 2 points on my graph here. I'm going to mark this point, and this is A, and then I'm going to mark this point as B, and this point as C. Now, once I write on there, if I click on my arrow, I can grab that image and move it, and my writing stays with it. So I don't have to worry about the A, B, and C being stuck over here. So now if I needed another coordinate plane, I can click on my image, coordinate plane again, and it's going to bring me another one. And I can make these. So once I have my 2 coordinate planes up, I have my arrow clicked, right? Because if I have a pen clicked, it's just going to write on it. If I make a mistake, I can use my eraser, or you can click this and use your pen to erase. Oh. I guess not. I'm going to do undo. The magic undo. So now I'll use my eraser. There we go. So I got my eraser. I erase that. Now let's say I want to move this out of the way because I want it to, I want to just do that on this one. I can take it. Oh, sorry. Click on the arrow. I'm going to take it and I'm going to move it up here. Now you'll notice that it's like hidden, right? I don't know where it is. This canvas is infinite, which means it goes on forever. So I can throw things up on the side if I don't need them to get them out of my way. But the question is, how do you find it afterwards? Well, you may have seen in the top right corner up there, there is like 2 little boxes, right? And you can see the little red. That's what I can see right now. But if I just grab it and pull it down, now I can see where I'm looking, right? Oh, there it is. That's what I was looking for. I'm going to make it small again and bring it down. I'm just pushing on it. So I'm going to pick on this one, make it full size of the screen. There I go. So just by manipulating it, it's like pretending you have a desk in front of you and moving it with your hands. You can make it bigger or smaller. There we go. I'm going to write on this one. I'm going to draw a triangle. And now I can have the students come up to the board. I can have them do some work on the board. They can label it. This is A1, B1, C1. And then when they're done, click on that arrow, and I can move that one to the side. And then I want to bring this one back. Make it smaller again, and then make it bigger. Again, it seems a little crazy that I could just manipulate these things, but you have to imagine it's like having papers on a desk. So you're stacking things on top of each other. You're making them bigger and smaller like you would with your phone when you slide your fingers. All right? So for now, I'm going to put that up there. So let me tell you about the next tool that's pretty cool. The next tool is called the Capture tool. Now, when you're working with something on your desktop, you may have a worksheet or something that you want to be able to annotate, but you want to be able to follow it along like I did with those math features, right? Or you have an image online that you want to be able to take a picture of, write on it, and then save it later. So Capture does just that. You can take a picture of anything on your desktop or anything that's on the screen and open it in the whiteboard and be able to write on it. So because I'm not attached to the desktop, let me show you a different example. I'm going to go into my locker and open up Chromium. Now you remember, in Chromium, I have this cool picture of Homer behind me, right? So let's say I wanted to give my students an assignment that they're going to draw or annotate the map of Homer. So from my unified menu, I'm going to open up the Capture app. And what that does is it allows me to crop my image. So in each corner, you'll see the 4 little boxes. I'm going to make it exactly where I want it. I don't need the URL at the top. Bring this over here. That's the image I want. When I'm done, I hit the done button. And now it gives me an option to crop it one more time if I made a mistake or open in Whiteboard. When I do that, now that image that I just cropped is right here. I can pull it up to the side. I can do this. I can, with my pen, have the kids draw exactly, well, where's the village green? It's right in here. And I can have them color that in. And then I can have them write a little key over here, right? Let's say I want them to label the junior high intermediate. Let's see, it's right here on Clinton Street. There it is, right? So you do all those things. Done with that, it's time for math again. Click on it, click on the arrow, move that to the side. And again, even if I don't see it, it's still there. You can see up the top right. Those are my images that are still there. But it's time for math, so I'm going to go like this. I'm going to bring down this math problem. We're working on it again. This board does have a lot to offer. So go back to home. There I am. So some people have asked about your document camera. And obviously your document camera can attach right to your desktop and show whatever's on your desk, onto your desktop. But you don't need to plug your document camera right into your desktop. You can, first of all, you can plug it directly to your board. So here's my document camera right here. And what I want to do is take it and plug it into the board and get an image from one of my worksheets to annotate on my digital whiteboard. So to do that, the document camera is a USB. Now, the only thing you need to know about this is that we don't have the app that works on the Chromebook and the desktop for your document camera. So you won't have all the super cool, fun stuff that goes with that app, but you can still use it as a camera. So to access this, I plugged it in to my HDMI right in the front. You can also plug it in on the back. I'm going to click on my unified menu and go into my locker. Now this is just a camera, that's all it is. So I'm going to click on camera and it will ask you about allowing it, right? So here is my camera. You can see there's my feet, there's my legs. Whoa, totally getting meta. There you are, and there I am. There's my wall tapestry. But for real, if I wanted to, I can take a picture of anything that I have. Now it won't zoom in or out, right? So I may have to move the camera physically, which can be annoying, I won't lie. But this is what we're limited to for this. Okay, so I've got that there. I need to have a little bit higher so I can get it all in and make it clear. There we go, that's not bad. I'm gonna hit the camera button and there I took a picture. I can also use the Capture app, right? So I'll do that. I'm gonna open up my app. I'm gonna go to Capture. Right there, I can crop it. And then done, and open in Whiteboard. And now what that's gonna do is, there's the image from my paper. So you have paper stuff you wanna annotate. If you have a doc cam, you can very quickly take a picture of it, right there. And since I didn't have it up there, I'm going to write who the author is, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Okay? And again, because it's an image in here, I can just move it over here, out of the way for now, right? Now let's say I wanted to access that image I just took, because I did take an image. I took a picture using the board. I would click on the images here and choose gallery. So here you can see I have my whiteboard, I have the image I took, and I have the whiteboard with the map because I had saved some stuff. So I can access things through there, and it just opens in my digital whiteboard. If I want to get rid of it, I just tap it and hold, release, and hit the trash can. And that works with all the other stuff too. So if I'm done with this, I can click it, hold, delete. and now it's gone. What if you delete something accidentally? You can always undo, right? Undo again. So that is with your dock cam plugged directly in. Again, here, locker, camera. Oh, there it is. And then when my hand is working, so if students need to see what you're doing, it's a great way to use it. Now, because it's hard to see sometimes and you do have to play with it a little and maybe wherever this is, I don't want it to be right here, right? Remember, the document cameras work with the Chromebooks. So that's the next thing I'm going to show you. So what I've done is I've plugged my document camera directly into my Chromebook. I'm going to log into Chrome and use my extension. And I'll show you how to do that right now on this computer. To find the extension on your Chrome browser, on your Chromebook, you're going to go up to the top here and look for your extensions. From here, you can scroll down and look for Promethean Screen Share right here. When you click on it, you will try and enter the panel ID that shows on your panel, and then you will enter the waiting room. If you're using a desktop, go to the Start menu, search for Promethean, click on Screen Share. From there, enter the panel ID. Only from the app on your desktop do you have the option to enable touchback. That means that you will have touch capabilities on your screen from the desktop to your panel without plugging it in. So now that you've seen where the extension is and how to use it, let's go on and I'll show you what it looks like from the board. I'm plugged in and on my Chromebook, I have opened the extension and I'm ready to screen share. From the board, I'm going to click on my unified menu and click Screen Share. That's going to open up a number that I'm going to use for a panel. Now you can screen share with any device. It doesn't have to be on our network. You can screen share from a phone, from an iPad, a Chromebook, even your desktop. And when you use your desktop, you can screen share and make it touchback. So you don't even have to be plugged into the board to be able to touch. But that's only the desktop. We'll get there. So my number is here, 355-466. Oh, 355-466. When I get there, I'm going to enter the number on my Chromebook and name it. From there, it'll ask me if I want to share my entire screen or not. I'm going to say share. And then I'm going to join the waiting room. When I join the waiting room, you'll see on the board a little number 1. The reasons that's there is because we can even have students join. So if you have students in your class and you want them to throw their screen up on the board, they totally can, even if it's an iPad. So if kids are doing something really cool on Seesaw, or if they've got a really awesome Google slide presentation, they don't even have to leave their seats. They can just use the screen share to go up. So, and you can show up to 4 screens at once, so you can have a bunch of them going at once. I'm going to click on that arrow, and I'm going to click share. And what that does, it brings up, this is my Chromebook. This is what it looks like. So for now, if I was using my document camera with my Chromebook, and I had my image up there that I was looking at, I could have my Chromebook anywhere in the room with my document camera and be doing my work. So I could be sitting in the back of the room and working on math or annotating while I can see all my students, and then the board is in the front of the room. From here, it's not touch, right, because this is screen sharing, but the kids can all see what I'm doing, and I can be in a different spot. I don't have to be standing in front of the board. I don't have to be teaching from the front of the class. I can walk anywhere. There is a short lag, you'll see as I move my hand, but it's really not that bad, even with a Chromebook. So that is the screen sharing with the dock cam. You don't have to use the dock cam though. Again, I can do anything from my Chromebook. So I exit this out. I can screen share anything I want from that Chromebook. So here's my website. I'm screen sharing it. I can screen share it from across the room. I can walk around with whatever's on my screen and show people. And I don't have to be standing at the board doing anything. It's such a cool feature that allows teachers to have much more flexibility in their instruction. When I'm done sharing my screen and I'm all set, I can either end it from my Chromebook, or if you have students who are sharing their screen, just click on screen share from your unified menu. You'll see it down here in the bottom right. Click on it, it immediately closes it. So if somebody's being a knucklehead, you can always click on that little guy in the bottom right corner. Let's see what it looks like if I add more screens. To use your phone, you need to install the My Promethean app. It looks just like this. Again, you're going to open the app, and it doesn't matter if you're on the screen or not. Enter the panel number, and start screen share. You'll see it pop up here in a minute. Now I'm in the waiting room. So I can click on that one, and I can have my Chrome open also, but let's just do the phone for starts. Oops. We'll share again. We'll try again. It did pop up asking if I wanted to cast. So there it is. So now I can show you, there's the My Promethean app, and this is my phone. You can see when I flip through it, all the things that are on it. So there you go. Now let's say I wanted to show my phone with, again, I can click over here as well. Collins Chrome, share. Hold on. Share. Start now. So now I have my phone and my Chromebook, just to show you the different ways that you can use it. You can share multiple devices. So if you're trying to teach somebody how to do something with different types of technology, this is also a cool way to do it on the board. So this is through screen share. Again, to close down real quick, you hit those little people in the bottom corner and exit out and sharing, and it kicks them right out. They can't join again until you approve them from the board. Close. Nope. Close. There you go. All right. Finally, let's talk about how this thing works and keep it up working well. If something's going on and your touch isn't working, or you can't get to the HDMI, you can't get to your computer screen, there's only a few things that could be wrong. Really, you need to check the cords in the back to see if they're plugged in. Obviously, if you're not comfortable doing that, please put in a help desk ticket right away. You can email helpdesk@homercentral.org to have your ticket put right in, or go right to the start page and click on the little life raft or the life buoy, and we will be able to help you when you fill out that ticket. Finally, if it seems like it's lagging, which they probably won't, but remember, you can go into recent apps and it'll bring up a bunch of stuff that you've been using. You can exit out of things. Snaps, exit out, exit out, exit out, exit out. If you need help, you can always reach out to me. But remember, there is a help button here with some really short steps to get through everything. There's also my one-pager, and the Promethean website has some great tutorials. The first tutorials make you go through and use the board to practice, but there's also videos you can watch that are less than 2 minutes that are probably better than watching me stand up here and ramble in front of the board. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at Homer. Let me know, and I will do my best to help you be successful and help our kids. Have a great day.